FormsViewer supports mapping and repeating data to SharePoint lists so that you can do reporting on your Forms data using Power BI. At Qdabra, we've been helping customers build business apps since 2003. Most real-world forms today include repeating data. One example is the timesheet form, which has multiple rows for work performed on different projects. Another example is an expense report form, which must capture many items and receipts for employees when they go on a business trip. To monitor expense reports, management will group expenses by category and employee. That means extracting data from repeating sections in a form and pivoting across multiple submissions. One of the biggest feature gaps of SharePoint Forms and InfoPath was this ability to extract repeating data. To fill this gap and many others, Qdabra developed a client-side plugin called QRules. FormsViewer makes it easy to use QRules commands because it includes them directly in the app. From the design page, you can create a mapping, build the SharePoint, submit to SharePoint list command, and add it to a rule in your form. You can do this all from FormsViewer. You don't need InfoPath Designer to do this. First, go to your FormsViewer app and click Manage Templates. Locate the form that you want to report on and click on the name. The Upload Template page includes a Design button where you can set up the SharePoint list mappings. Select which SharePoint list you want to map to. In this case, we've already created mapping. For parent-child lists, create a mapping for the child expense list items under a top-level parent expense report, as you see here. The left side of the mapping is the field from the form, and the right side is the column from your SharePoint list. For repeating data, it is important to include an ID in the repeating group, which acts as a key to track updates from the form to the list, and vice versa. Specify the ID in the Options drop-down to do that. When you're done, click Inject Mapping, and the mapping will be injected in your form. Finally, to map the data to the list, when the user clicks Submit, go to the Command Builder tab. Here you can create your QRules command. First, select the command and fill out various values. Now, some of these values are optional. We'll select mapping, and we're going to be mapping it to a data connection. Okay, once you're done, click Copy to Clipboard. Now you'll want to go to the Rule Editor tab and select the button or the field where you will run your command. In this sample, we used a centralized form logic data source, which includes a Submit action field where all of the rules are run. And here you can see the third rule is Submit to SharePoint lists. Click the rule to see the details below. I have already added the QRules command. But what you want to do is select QRules command. Whenever you're executing a QRules command, you'll select the QRules data source and the command node. And then here is where we add the command that we copied to the clipboard. Mapping is optional. You can see that it did include it here, but I don't need it because that's the default. And once you've finished, you'll want to click Save Changes. So back at our expense report, let's see how this works. If I click Submit, you'll see that the form is submitting the data to the list. It's also doing a bunch of other things, such as creating a PDF version of the form, as we saw in the previous video, and mapping the data to an analytics API where it can do character recognition on the attached receipts. So now that I've submitted my form, I can see the data updated in the lists. The expense report list has the parent, so you can see here that if I refresh, we'll see the new item for the conference come in. If I go to the child list items and refresh this, we have 2 new items at the bottom. You can now use Power BI to pull the repeating data into a report that aggregates the expenses by the category and the employee. So we'll just click refresh here to see the new data. And this Power BI report is pulling from expense report parent and the list items, as you can see on the right. And you can see at that refresh, the other category increased quite substantially from just a few dollars to $1,209. And you can see that my expenses for this quarter have increased as well. SharePoint lists can store thousands of items, but for the best performance when dealing with very large data sets, you will want to map your data as SQL instead. In my next video, I will show how to do that with a SQL database in Azure.